FSN Radio. It's all about what's next. Go to financialsurvivalnetwork.com and sign up for your free weekly newsletter. You'll also get 3 free reports. The Financial Survival Network. It's all about what's next.
Welcome. You are listening to the Financial Survival Network. I'm Kerry Lutz at 7/22/19. We're back from Vegas from Freedom Fest. A lot of fun. Highly recommend you go to the next one. A lot of right-minded, right-thinking people. Candace Owens, Charlie Kirk, so many people. I met an interesting company that has mastered digital gold better than any other place I've ever seen. You can spend your gold, you can buy it, you can keep it, whatever you want, for very low transaction costs. Sprott is a major investor in this company, coming to the U.S. shortly. There's an interview on that I've done with the founder of the company, a guy by the name of Jason Cousins. That will be up on the site shortly. So make sure you take a look and email me any questions or comments, kl@kerrylutz.com. Well, right now we're with Nick Santiago, InTheMoneyStocks.com, and Nick is really in the money. He's been playing this gold move for all it's worth. Nick, it's great to have you back on. So all that glitters is finally gold.
That's right. We talked about it, with the central bankers cutting rates. We knew it was coming. And, just this past week, I closed out a call option position in gold miners, the GDX ETF, which covers basically all of the large gold miners. I mean, we made 105% in about 10 days. It was just a monster trade. And, again, I'm going to look to do it again. I mean, if gold can just go sideways a bit without taking off, there's a lot more upside left to go. Right now, we're in what we call a pause position, a pause pattern after a big run. The market's got to digest that big gain we've seen recently. But, I mean, I don't see anything really stopping this freight train, especially if you have bearish central bankers around the world. I mean, Europe is getting ready to potentially do some kind of stimulus on Thursday. So we'll have to see what that is. But, I mean, any stimulus that these guys do, all these central bankers, is just more bullish sentiment for gold going forward.
Yeah, I know. And look, the original resistance point was around, mid 1300, 1350 to 1380, depending on how you measured it. But now we broke 1420. That was like the last remaining resistance point on the way up. And now that's going to become support, where we see price of gold right now. It's right around $1,425. It's up 30 cents.
Yeah, we're at 1426 right now live. So
yeah,
when you look at the pattern now, we've gone up a ton. So we're going to need to just consolidate a bit. But once that happens, I mean, you'll start going to 1475, 1500, 15 and a half, 16. I mean, we haven't even hit an inflationary phase yet. This is just gold giving us a little movie preview of what is coming in the future.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Hey, and the other thing that's happened, silver is joining the party now.
Silver has started to catch up. And if you take a look at silver now, it broke out as well, because silver had a huge resistance level around 15 or so. And now when you look at the silver chart at 1641, it's starting to play catch up. And it really lagged for a while there. And now that is starting to break out as well. If you look at the silver chart, you'll notice that it went up into weekly chart 200 period moving average. And if you go back in silver and you just take a look at January, February, April, May of 2018, there's a lot of resistance. So we're going to need to see some consolidating. But once that breaks out above 16 and a half, 17 level, silver's got a lot more upside in the future. So right now it hasn't done it yet. It's still got to get through that 17 area, but let it consolidate and it will.
Yeah. And really, silver, when it does make its major move, it's going to far eclipse gold, because investors look at it. I've already missed out on gold. Silver is cheap. I don't have to buy it at $1,400+ or however high it goes to. I'll just buy the poor man's silver, the poor man's gold rather, instead.
That's right. And a lot of people don't remember this, but if you go back to 2011, silver got to around $50. And, that is really after you clear 17, you're gonna hit a resistance zone around 21.5. After that, the next resistance zone is 25, and then it's 50. So people don't realize in 2011, silver was $50 an ounce. And I mean, right now you're looking at silver. I mean, realistically, it's on sale here at this price because you're getting it for $16.41 an ounce today. It's incredible, the upside potential.
Yeah, it really is. And of course, most people will miss it anyway. But what other opportunities we're looking at?
Well, there's going to be some other opportunities, I think, coming up. Not so much right now. The stock market has gone back up. I was looking for really a sell-off in May, which we did get, and then a minor bounce in June, and then another sell-off into the September timeframe. Apparently, I was wrong on the June move because the central bankers got involved on the first decline, and now they've basically have said they're going to support markets all the way up. So markets right now are very, very tricky. I am not bullish whatsoever because I think there's something lurking out there, and I don't know really what it is. I don't know if it's Deutsche Bank, which has done a major restructuring. They're going to lay off 18,000 employees, and you can see that stock is, right near all-time lows. Meanwhile, you have other banks basically at all-time highs. So it really is disturbing. I'm not sure what's lurking out there, but I would be very, very careful in the stock market here. And I'm not saying it can't go up because the trend is up, and we got to respect that. But when I just look at stocks right now, I get very, very cautious because this is not when you see a May swoon like that, these Fed members here, or these central bankers, I should say, because all of them, they're all in cahoots. These guys have to know something is out there that looks like Jaws, and they do not want to get bit right now. And I just can't understand why a market with all-time highs, low unemployment, these guys would have to cut interest rates. Now, I saw it on the charts. If you remember back, Kerry, I was probably one of the first people to say the Fed is going to cut rates this year because the bond market was telling us that. So now when I look at the bond market, they've held the 2% level on the 10-year U.S. Treasury, which tells me that things are going to shift when we get into the fall season. So, if you're going to play the equity markets, you really want to really play it cautiously. I think the best thing to do right now is be involved in gold. Buy some of these gold miners that are out there. Wait for these chart patterns to set up. There's a lot of good patterns out here, a lot of good gold miners still that have not run yet. And that's probably your best bet because if the central bank's got to lower rates with markets at all-time highs, what are they going to do when the markets fall? They're going to cut even further.
Yeah, but how much can they cut? So we have negative interest rates.
They got two bases. They got 2 points to work with. So they're going to just do quarter point. I mean, so they got 9 cuts. After that, they're going to have to get creative.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, there's nothing wrong with a little creativity when it comes to central bankers. Nick, take your guess. September 30th, what will be the price of gold and what will be the price of silver?
FSN Radio. It's all about what's next.
Financial Survival Network is brought to you today by Orin Resources, a junior exploration company with the appetite of a major. It's hot on the trail of the next globally significant discovery, creating enormous potential upside for you, the shareholder. Orin is one of the most aggressive exploration companies pursuing high-grade, scalable gold and copper deposits and has a premier 7-project portfolio, including its 2 flagships, Committee Bay in the Arctic and Sombrero in Peru. Orin's unparalleled technical team and highly experienced management has a history of success in advancing and monetizing exploration assets. No wonder Orin's been called one of the best in the junior exploration sector. Orin trades on the TSX and the NYSE under AUG. To learn more, go to orinresources.com. That's AURYN resources.com.
The Financial Survival Network. It's all about what's next.
Right now, if I was to just take a hardball estimate, I would say gold will be over $1,500, and then you're probably seeing silver. It has to break through that $17 level. Once it does that, you can see silver shoot to 25 almost immediately.
25 by September 30th, huh? We're thinking. Yeah.
I think there's a fair possibility. You got the ECB, which is about to go into a whole different phase of quantitative easing that they've never done before. They're going to probably announce something on Thursday. So if you have a central bank that is going to be that easy, I mean, you're just going to get the precious metals have no choice but to go higher.
Yeah.
And you want to know something? I know every hedge fund manager knows this. And everybody that's a market technician knows this. And this is what we're seeing right now. So, that's going to be the only play. And think about it. When you think about it, look at what's going on out there. This is unprecedented stuff 10 years later after the financial crisis. And this is just restarting all over again. And gold has been putting in a big base. It's starting to finally break out. I mean, I really, you haven't seen me talk this bullish on the precious metals in a long time.
Yeah, I know. You really have not been. We had a couple of blips, and we were kind of looking at it a couple months back. I think in May we were talking, you were guardedly optimistic, and now you're an unabashed bull. So I guess that tells us a lot here. And, all of this movement in gold has happened with interest rates going down. All right.
And the dollar at highs.
Dollar at highs, and the stock market at new highs.
Yeah.
So it's kind of counterintuitive, or some would say contraintuitive, that you should have these types of movements where gold and dollar moving up in lockstep, gold and S&P moving up in lockstep. That is indicative, I tend to agree with you, something far more fundamental and far more earth-shattering, profound. I mean, look, Nick, just those earthquakes in California should be enough to upset every market on the planet, because increased seismic activity means there's a big earthquake that's going to hit someplace. God forbid it hits the west coast of the U.S. So when you look at it, there's a lot of uncertainty, and nobody's even talking anymore, Nick, about risk on, risk off, right? When was the last time you heard that?
That's right. Nobody's even talking. It's just risk on now. Fed has your back. Central bankers will lower rates, keep the liquidity in the system. That's all you hear about. And you have ultimate complacency in the marketplace right now.
Yes. Very, very true. Complacency in the marketplace, all of these things. It looks like we're heading for a perfect storm almost, doesn't it?
I honestly think we do. I thought we'd get that May sell-off, and that was a doozy. That was a really good decline in the S&P 500 in the month of May. We went from, basically very close to 3,000, and then the S&P flushed all the way down below 2,700. We're right around 2,700. So now here we are at 3,000, and things are worse. But you just have more central bank rhetoric, and they're going to talk it up for so long. And now they're actually going to have to take some action. Honestly, gold is your best bet going forward. That's really all there is to it.
I completely agree with you. Well, we're going to see what happens. So make sure you check out Nick's site, inthemoneystocks.com. You would have you missed out on a big trade in gold, but there are lots more coming down the path. Hey, one more question, Nick. Oil. It's kind of been ping-ponging around. It hit 65, 67. Then it went back down 52. What's your insight into that?
Yeah, so crude right now is really just a geopolitical play. I mean, the world is flooded with oil. I think the last time I was on your program, we already had that big sharp sell-off, and I said we could rebound up to 61.25 to 61.5, and that's still my feeling. Nothing has changed. So even if we get a geopolitical event, whether it's something to do with tension with Iran or somewhere else in the Middle East or whatever, I really don't see crude really significantly getting above the low to mid 60s. If we got above 61.5, which is my personal top that I think it can go to, that I don't think it goes any higher than that. You'll go to 65, but that's it. I just don't see any real upside for crude unless the disturbance in oil production is so incredible that, it's something we haven't foreseen. But to be honest, I really just don't see a lot of upside for oil.
And if that happened, we would see gold and silver prices shoot up overnight. I don't think they would stay at that peak, but you'd see $2,000 gold if there's a major confrontation in the Persian Gulf, which looks, some believe we're heading towards it. I personally will believe it when I see it. Trump is just not one to get drawn into these conflicts that only wind up making the country weaker in the long run. He's one who is really just Sun Tzu, the art of war.
Yes.
The war is won before the first shot is even fired. And that is the truth when you think of it.
He has a plan before he even really gets in there. I know he has a way of, look what he's done with the Chinese, how he's agitated them almost daily. Oof. And yet, we're still basically in the same place, and he's just, chopping away. And as their economy gets weaker and weaker, eventually a deal will be made. I don't think a deal gets done right away, but you can see his tactics. And, basically it is very, like the art of war. It is very, very much played like that.
Hey, and you think what the Chinese are doing now, the hardliners don't want to make a deal. They're willing to bet on Biden or whomever the Dems put up because they know they won't stand up to China. Trump is the only one capable of doing that. So they're willing to wait. But the other ones, the softer ones, if you will, the more pragmatic, say, we shouldn't do that because if we wait for the election and he wins, the deal we're going to eventually make is going to be far worse than the one we can get now, where he's got something to gain from it, more so than after the election when it doesn't help him or hurt him because he's not going to be running again. So you can see these two factions at play here in China. I'll make one other comment, Nick, and then I'll let you get on with your day. 2 years ago when Trump was elected, and I was talking with my guys at Starbucks, my morning coffee clatch, I said, I foresee that Mexico will be stationing troops on the U.S. border to stop the immigration flow. And everyone looked at me kind of funny. And I said, well, I think he's going to build the wall. I know he will, but it's going to take longer than you think. In the meantime, he will force Mexico to make that move. And guess what happened 3 weeks ago, Nick? Like everybody looked at me like, how did you know that? I said, because Mexico would be a wasteland without the U.S. And if we do anything to stop trade or hinder it, it's the end of Mexico. That place will collapse, faster than a house of cards. And sure enough,
their dependence on U.S. trade is it's everything for them. Basically,
it's absolute. It's near absolute. They have nothing that they can sell or do that doesn't have an end goal in the United States. So, of course, they were going to capitulate. So, and that's the beauty of Trump and the art of war, right? He didn't even have to do the tariffs. It's just the mere threat. And everyone, all on both parties, with their panties were in a bunch. But you know what? He won again.
And then in that one, he won pretty quickly. That really just took a matter of 2 days, 3 days, and that was getting ironed out pretty fast. Yeah. Now, the China scenario is a little bit different.
Yeah, for sure.
But you can see the same underpinnings are taking place there as well.
Yeah, well, 550 billion of exports versus 150 million U.S. exports. Obviously, they're getting a lot more out of this relationship than we are, other than access to cheap Chinese garbage on Amazon that you don't need anyway. So they've got a lot more exposure than we do. And yeah, this one's a fight that is not going to be backed off on. Although when they do make the agreement, Trump will be magnanimous and act as if he backed off to save face, because everything is about saving face for the Chinese.
Right. You got to show it's a win-win for both parties. But the reality of it is there hasn't been a single U.S. president that has been even able to come close to what he's actually accomplished already with them.
Oh, yeah, for sure. For sure. Well, hey, that is it for today, Nick. Always love having you on. And, well, we find you at inthemoneystocks.com. What can you get there if you go?
Yeah, come on over. Take a 7-day free trial. We offer it to our research center. You get all of our nightly reports, get all of our trade setups. You'll also, if you want, you can try out our option service, which I had that 105% winner on that GDX trade. And you could just come over if you want to be a day trader and trade with us all day long. And, we start up at 9:30 in the morning, take a 7-day free trial to that and see everything we got. It's interactive. You get to ask questions. You get to see everything we're doing each and every day. And earnings season just started, so it's a lot of fun. We're going to try to make a lot of money.
Yeah. Hey, this is a time where you can really make life-changing investments, speculations. It's all speculation. Let's face it, Nick. I mean, there's no free ride here, but I view speculation versus gambling as a simple matter. Gambling, you walk into the casino like I was over the weekend. I won $110, but I beat the odds. With speculation, you can put the odds in your favor. Doesn't mean you're going to win, but it's what they would call in Vegas an advantage bet, meaning you have the advantage, and you can still do it even with all the algorithms and everything else, right?
Oh yeah, nothing is. Jesse Livermore, the legendary trader, said it best: human nature never changes. Therefore, the stock market never changes either. It's all human nature. You just follow the tape, and you let the charts tell you what to do. I'm not looking to ever try to figure out the story. I only can give the story after I see what the charts are telling me, and it's been a pretty good winning formula.
Yeah, it's been a great winning formula. Done quite well at it, and hey, we love what you're doing, Nick. Always a pleasure. We will talk to you again real soon, and we're looking at $1,500 plus gold and $25 silver. Hey, if that happens, I'm going on a vacation.
Enjoy it.
FSN Radio. It's all about what's next. Go to financialsurvivalnetwork.com and sign up for your free weekly newsletter. You'll also get 3 free reports. The Financial Survival Network. It's all about what's next.